Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay with us, because today you're about to discover a coin story that most people overlook, but a few smart collectors quietly chased out. Imagine holding a simple coin in your hand. It looks ordinary at first glance. Maybe you've seen something like it before. Maybe you've even spent one without thinking twice. But what if I told you that one specific coin, a 5 Rand piece from 2019, carries a story, a rarity, and a hidden potential that could completely change the way you look at your pocket change? Now let's slow down for a moment and really think about this. Coins are not just currency. For many people, especially those who've lived long enough to see currencies change and economies rise and fall, coins are history you can touch. They are symbols of nations, moments in time, and sometimes they are silent treasures waiting to be recognized. The 2019 5 Rand coin from South Africa is one of those pieces that deserves attention, not because it shines brighter than others, but because it carries a deeper meaning and a growing interest among serious collectors. That when you first look at this coin, you'll notice its solid design. It feels strong, dependable, almost like it was made to last generations. The craftsmanship reflects pride, something that older collectors especially appreciate. It's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. Its power is in its story. This coin was part of a modern circulation series. But here's where things start getting interesting. Not all coins are created equal, even when they look the same. Subtle variations, limited releases, and specific minting details can turn an everyday coin into something extraordinary. Collectors who know what they're doing don't just look at coins, they study them. They examine the edges, the texture, the alignment, and even the smallest imperfections. Because sometimes, what looks like a flaw to the average person is actually the very thing that makes a coin rare. Now think about this. How many coins pass through your hands in a lifetime? Thousands. Tens of thousands? And how many times have you stopped to really look at one? That's where the opportunity lies. The 2019 5 Rand coin has gained attention not just because of its design, but because of certain limited variations and collector demand that has quietly grown over time. While millions may have been produced, only a small fraction meet the condition and criteria that serious collectors are willing to pay for. Condition matters more than most people realize. A coin that has never been circulated, never scratched, never dulled by years of handling. Those are the ones that stand out. Those are the ones that get locked away, protected, and eventually passed on or sold for significant amounts. And here's something important for those of you watching, especially those who have spent years building knowledge and understanding value. Experience gives you an advantage. Younger people may scroll past coins without a second thought, but you know better. You understand that real value is often hidden in plain sight. There's also the emotional connection. Coins like this are not just about money. They remind people of travel, of history, of a time when physical currency felt more meaningful. Holding a coin from another country can bring back memories or spark curiosity. But let's talk about the real reason you're here. Value. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a collector, an investor, or simply curious, the question is always the same. What is it worth? The truth is, the value of a coin like the 2019 5 Rand is not fixed. It changes depending on rarity, condition, demand, and timing. Some versions may only be worth a small amount above face value, while others, especially those with unique characteristics, can rise dramatically. And this is where things become powerful. Because markets are driven by perception. When more collectors begin to recognize the importance of a coin, its value can climb faster than expected. Those who got in early, those who paid attention when others didn't, are the ones who benefit the most. Think of it like this. Every valuable coin today was once just another coin in circulation. The difference is that someone, somewhere, recognized its potential before everyone else did. That's the mindset that separates casual observers from serious collectors. Now imagine going through your own collection, or even checking the coins you already have stored away. What if one of them turns out to be more than just spare change? What if something you've ignored for years is actually worth far more than you ever imagined? This is not about luck. It's about awareness. The 2019 5 Rand coin represents more than just currency. It represents opportunity for those who are willing to look closer, think deeper, and act smarter. And here's something that many people won't tell you. Confidence plays a huge role in collecting. When you understand what you're looking at, when you know what makes a coin valuable, you don't hesitate. You recognize the moment. So the next time you see a coin, don't just glance at it. Hold it. Study it. Ask yourself what story it carries and what potential it might have, because hidden value doesn't announce itself. It waits for someone with the right mindset to discover it. And now, after everything we've talked about, here comes the part that changes everything. The estimated top-tier collector value for a rare and perfectly preserved 2019 5 Rand coin, under the right conditions and in the right market, has been projected to reach as high as $45 million. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss a single story like this. Today, we're talking about something that might just change the way you think about collecting coins, and maybe even your life savings. Now, I want you to imagine holding in your hand something that looks ordinary. Something you've probably seen before, maybe even in your pocket or in a drawer somewhere at home. It's small, it's copper-colored, and to most people, it seems completely worthless. But let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. This is a coin from South Africa, dated 1971. It's a 1-cent piece. Simple, unassuming, easy to overlook. But what makes this coin extraordinary is the story behind it. Back in 1971, South Africa was producing coins for everyday use. Coins that would pass through the hands of workers, shopkeepers, and families. Millions were minted, yet somehow, a single coin from that year has become one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world. And the reason isn't obvious at first glance. You see, when collectors look at coins, they're not just seeing metal. They're seeing history. They're seeing rarity. They're seeing a connection to a time that will never come back. And in the case of this 1971 1-cent coin, it's a perfect storm of all three. Let me take you back. The year was 1971. The world was changing. In South Africa, coins were more than currency. They were symbols of an era. The design on the coin itself was simple, but it reflected an entire nation's pride. What makes this coin extraordinary, however, is that only a handful of them were produced with a tiny, almost invisible flaw. A flaw that, at the time, no one noticed. But today makes this coin one of the rarest in existence. Collectors love rarity. They chase it. They study it. And once word spreads that something is extremely rare, the value can skyrocket in ways that are almost unimaginable. That's exactly what happened with this coin. Imagine sitting in your living room, dusting off an old coin collection that's been in a box for decades. You pick up a coin without thinking, and suddenly, everything changes. That's the thrill of numismatics, the study and collection of coins. A coin that looks like a penny to most people can be worth more than a small house if it's rare enough. And that brings us to the 1971 South African 1-cent coin. Most of these coins were ordinary, but a few of them were struck in such a way that they became anomalies. Flawless, beautiful, and virtually one of a kind. A collector spotting one of these would know immediately, this isn't just a coin. This is a treasure. Think about it. For years, these coins were tucked away in drawers, wallets, and coin jars. No one paid them any attention. Then collectors started to notice that some coins had slight differences in design, tiny variations that shouldn't exist. And once those differences were documented, demand exploded. The coin transformed from everyday currency into a prize worth millions. That it's not just the rarity that drives the value. It's the story. Every scratch, every imperfection, every mark on the coin tells a piece of history. It's a window into a world that's gone forever. And for men who grew up in that era, there's a certain nostalgia too, an emotional connection that can't be replicated. Here's something most people don't realize. Coin collecting is not just a hobby. It's a serious investment. And some of the coins we're talking about today are literally life-changing if you own the right one. I'm talking about coins that have sold for millions in private auctions. Coins that, in the right hands, have turned decades of careful collecting into financial windfalls. This is where the 1971 South African 1-cent coin comes in. Most people would glance at it and toss it back into the drawer. But those who know, those who understand the history and the rarity, see something else entirely. They see a golden opportunity. Not just an opportunity to make money, but an opportunity to own a piece of history, a tangible link to the past that very few people will ever hold. And here's the kicker. Only a handful of these coins exist today in pristine condition. Fewer than a dozen are known to collectors worldwide, and that scarcity has driven the value beyond imagination. If you're sitting there thinking, it's just a coin, consider this. Some of the most valuable coins ever sold were pennies. Tiny, unassuming, almost invisible in a pile of change. Yet collectors, historians, and investors recognize them for what they are, irreplaceable artifacts with stories that cannot be replicated. Now, imagine holding a coin in your hand that has the power to make you the envy of every collector in the world. A coin that carries the weight of history, the thrill of rarity, and the potential for a fortune beyond most people's wildest dreams. That's exactly what this 1971 South African 1-cent coin represents, that it's more than copper. It's more than a date on a coin. It's a symbol of discovery, of patience, of the thrill of seeing something ordinary turn into the extraordinary. And for those of us who appreciate history, who value the stories that objects can tell, it's priceless that I won't keep you waiting any longer. The 1971 South African 1-cent coin, in perfect, pristine condition, has reached a value that is almost unimaginable. People have paid handsomely for the privilege of owning one, and in the right market, it can command an astonishing $56 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $56 million for a single penny. A coin that most people would overlook without a second thought. That is the true magic of collecting, the thrill of discovery, and the incredible power of rarity. So, next time you come across an old coin, don't just toss it aside. Look closely. Study it. You might be holding a piece of history worth far more than you ever imagined. And for those of you who want more stories like this, more hidden treasures and rare finds, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. Because history, wealth, and adventure are just a coin toss away.